Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Points of Articulation. My name's Dave and if you're new to the channel, welcome everybody. Today I'm looking at the Star Wars X-Wing Nimbus-Class V-Wing Starfighter expansion pack released in 2020. This ship was first seen in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And I have to say, if you're a fan of my channel, you know I really like this design. We looked at it before with the Star Wars Titanium series, and it's got a lot going for it. Now, in Revenge of the Sith, we did see these a couple times. We saw them at the Battle of Coruscant in the beginning of the film, and then a couple times at the end of the movie. My favorite part with these particular fighters is when the Republic turns into the Empire. We see a bunch of repainted Venators, they're all white and gray. These fly right past the camera, and what we hear, the engine roar of a TIE fighter. And to me, that was iconic. It was awesome because it bridged the gap between the past and the future. Little hints of what's to come. It relates right to George Lucas, how he says, his films, they rhyme. It's like history. It repeats itself. So there's little things that mirror here and there, and little design elements that carry over. And looking at this right off the bat, we can see the silhouette of a TIE fighter with those wings that go up and down. We can see elements of a Jedi starfighter from Episode 2, the astromech in the back, and then, if we remember our lore, elements of this particular ship would carry over later into the Rebellion era when we would get the A-Wing starfighter. So really cool stuff. Hopefully with the Bad Batch and everything that Lucasfilm is doing, we'll get some more, scenes with this particular ship and how its design elements might help the Rebels later on. So anyway, besides all that, if you're wondering where I got this particular ship from, I got it from Red Seal Gaming, located in South Amboy, New Jersey. If you're interested, I will put some links below to their website and also their YouTube channel. So getting back to this particular ship, for its size, it comes in a little under 1.5 inches in length. So it's not the biggest ship, but it's not the smallest either. So we do have a lot to cover today. If you're new to my channel, what I like to do is basically look at everything in this expansion. We're going to look at the tokens and dials, the cards, the rules, and then we're going to take a nice look at the ship. Go over the major points, zoom in to show those fine details, go over the paint, put it on a stand compared to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. So it's everything you need to know before you buy it. So I do hope you find this enjoyable. So you know what? Let's get started. And now it's time for my favorite part of these videos, the dial token roll call. 1 maneuver dial, 3 ship tokens, which are double-sided, 1 focus token, 1 stress token, 2 ion tokens, 2 shield tokens, 2 strain tokens, 1 critical damage marker, 2 lock tokens, number 14, 10 charge tokens, 3 ship ID tokens, 4 thermal detonator tokens, and finally 1 dial ID token. So that does it for all the dials and tokens. Now let's take a look at the cards. Alright, now looking at the cards that come with this particular set. Like always, I will read the name of the card. If you would like to pause the video and read all the data below, by all means, go right ahead. First up, let's take a look at the ship cards. Contrail, Click, Oddball, Wilif Tarkin, Loyalist Volunteer, and finally, Shadow Squadron Escort. So that does it for the ship cards. So now let's take a look at the upgrade cards. So now looking at those upgrade cards, first up we have Alpha 3B Besh, Alpha 3E Esk, Ion Limiter Override, Precision Ion Engines, Q7 Astromech, R7A7, and finally Thermal Detonators. So that does it for the upgrade cards. Now let's take a quick look at the quick build cards. For the quick build cards, here's the first one, and here's the second. So that does it for all the dials, tokens, and cards. So now let's take a quick look at the rules before we take a look at that great looking ship. So looking at the rules, the first page is all the components that come with this particular expansion, from the ship itself all the way down to all the tokens and different types of cards. For pages 2 and 3, we have a nice write-up on some new rules, such as revealed maneuvers, strain tokens, and devices such as the thermal detonator. Great artwork down there as well. And finally, on page 4, we have all the copyright crap for all the people that worked on this expansion. So that's everything for the rules. So now let's finally take a look at this beautiful ship. And now, finally looking at this beautiful ship, just like in all my videos, I will go over all the major sections of the vehicle, and then we'll get a nice close-up look to see those fine details. Now, because of the size, I am going to bring in my pen so I can point to them. So first up, we have our main fuselage, which looks amazing. Nothing is flat on here. We can see a lot of curves. Looking really cool with those angles as well. Pretty sick. And you can see what I'm talking about. There is a slight curve that goes up. You know what I mean? You could sort of see it right here and right here, and then the beautiful slanted angles. Great stuff. You know what this reminds me of? The body of an Arwen from Star Fox. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Regardless, pretty sick. Now, on this main body, in the front, we have our sensors, which I believe are right about here. We have our cockpit with recessed windows, which I'm always a fan of. Right here, this dome is an astromech droid. These wings right here, these are actually shield heat sinks, so that's pretty awesome. On the back, we have our engine thrusters, which are recessed and beautifully molded. Turning to the bottom, the engines go into the main body. Then we have our peg port for the stand. And then we have the wings, which are probably one of my favorite parts. Beautifully molded. Great job here. We have our dual laser cannons, 2 on each side. And one thing I did want to mention, these wings are actually radiator wings, just like a TIE fighter. And if you look here, this section that's raised up on the top and bottom should be black, you know, just like a TIE fighter's wings. But for some reason, it's not painted. I don't know. It is what it is. When you look at the paint on here for the size, see these little yellow and scuff marks everywhere, and even the Republic symbol here and there. They did a fantastic job with this, to the point where I'm not really worried about the black, because you know what? If I really wanted to, I could touch that up myself. So that basically covers all the major parts of the V-Wing. So now, let's take a closer look. Now, the funny thing, I keep trying to zoom in, but the ship is so small, like you can see my fingers here. There's my fingerprints. This is as close as I could get without the camera freaking out and not focusing properly. So let's begin by looking at the bottom, and then we'll work our way around. So for the bottom here, we have some nice line work. Now, looking at it like this, we could see some slight angles here, but it isn't until you turn it like this that you see that the whole bottom protrudes downwards and out. So really cool. We have these little raised sections going down, which is nice. Same goes for this side. Looking really cool. Sick. Now at the bottom, we can see some nice hoses or pipes here, which sort of goes in and around the peg port right here for our stand. We have our engine section, which looks great. And back here, one of the reasons why I really enjoy this particular ship is because a lot of things back here are like protruding out. Like you can see these triangle pieces here that are maroon. These little L pieces right here. And we have our engines, and then the shields up here, the heat sinks. So pretty nice. For the engines, you can see they are detailed around the thrusters and recessed in right there for the engines themselves. So very nice, very detailed as well. With all these little doodads in here. Great stuff. And you can see they even detailed the interior a little bit. Very nice. Looking at the main body, you can see this beautiful line work here. Great stuff. I think they really did an amazing job. And one of the cool things about this ship, and if I turn it like this, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not the same on both sides. You can see it starts off similar, and then right about here, it gets different, and I love it for that. You can see how the line work is very different. The paint matches it. And then we have our little Republic symbol here, and then the aft. Very nice. We normally don't see stuff like that very much. Usually a lot of the ships are symmetrical where both sides look identical. So this is pretty cool. Now looking at the cockpit, you can see that each window is recessed in. Very nice. We have a little astromech right there. Not very detailed, it's just a dome. But it's nice they put it in there. Really cool. And then coming back, we have our engine section again. Really cool. And then right here we have our shields or heat sinks. And you can see how they do look awesome. Some nice line work and molding around the sides. But actually, I should say these are heat sinks for the shields. There we go. All these little techno babble and whatnot. Can't remember everything all the time, you know what I mean? Right here we have a little paint mishap right by my finger. But not too bad. Now for the wings, we do have some nice line work coming down here. Lots of modules in this circle section. The laser cannons look beautiful, nicely molded. And I just love all the little work here. Little doodads on this connector. Now, if they were able to, it would have been nice to have these fold down. But it is what it is. And they're basically the same on this side. No real differences to speak of. And then for the interiors, there's really nothing there. Just simple molding. But all in all, a fantastic vessel. So that's basically everything I have to say about the mold. In short, it's a beautiful looking vessel. Very small, but it has a lot going for it. So now let's take a look at the paint. And now looking at that paint on the Nimbus-Class V-Wing Starfighter, this baby has just about 10 different colors on it. Yes, 10. First color up is a nice off-white. Very nice color choice. I like it quite a bit. It's on the wings, the shields, main body, the sides, the barrels to the laser cannons. Just very cool. I think it's a nice color choice. And with our next color, the maroon, it works very well. Now, as we saw when I zoomed in, the paint could be a little off here and there, but on the whole, I'm very happy with it. And that maroon and off-white go together very well. See the side here, the aft. Looking amazing, and even on the bottom. So moving on from there, we do have some dark yellow for these little spots here and there. It's like a little rectangle and 2 triangles. The same goes for this side. Looking good. We also have a yellow in the back, which is a little brighter for the engine lights. Looking good. Nice. We have white and black for the Republic symbols, which look very nice and clean. Big fan of them. Then we have dark gray for the cockpit section and different components around the ship. Now at first I thought this was a lighter gray, but when looking at them closely, they are pretty similar. I think it just looks a little lighter because it's on white as opposed to this black, but pretty cool nonetheless. So that gray does come down here as well, with this little V. Again on the wing section, the engine section, which looks great and goes all the way down to the bottom. And on this wing section as well. And finally, it is on the tops of the wings. And you can see what I'm talking about, how the gray sort of looks a little whiter because it's on top of this, off-white. But regardless, very nice. I think that came out great. Now, besides all that, we do have glossy black right here for our cockpit windows, which looks amazing. You can see the light reflecting, beautiful. And finally, we have black wash, which fills in every single nook and cranny on this vessel and really makes all the details pop, no matter if it's on the main body, the little shields back here, the bottom of the ship, or the wings. Just a fantastic piece of art here. I'm a big fan of this ship. And that basically does it for the mold as well as the paint. So now let's put this baby on a stand compared to some other ships, and then we'll be done. And just like other X-Wing vessels, it does come with a stand. We have our base right here and 2 rods we put together to make our pylon. So put it on like so, grab your ship. You have your peg port on the bottom. Peg it in, be gentle. And just like that, everybody, you're good to go. And now for a quick size comparison with the V-Wing seen in the center, I have a couple of other X-Wing vessels to compare it to. First, on the right-hand side, we have the Delta 7 Jedi Starfighter, looking great. And then on the left-hand side, we have the Eta II Actis Jedi Interceptor. You know, a real fan favorite there, seen in Revenge of the Sith. It's also called the Jedi Starfighter as well, but very nice. And all of these are to scale, to my knowledge. So looking great. I believe the scale is the 1 to 270, so pretty sick. And for an added bonus size comparison with the V-Wing seen in the center, I have a couple of other Republic era vessels from the X-Wing game. First, on the right hand side, we have the Republic Y-Wing Starfighter, and this is a beast of a ship. It's one of my favorites, armored and heavily armed, even with a turret and an astromech. You can see how the size actually works together here, and the scale is right on. And finally, on the left, we have the predecessor to the V-Wing, the Turret Fighter, which is a great looking vessel in my opinion. Sadly, it was never in a film. It was used in the CGI show, The Clone Wars, and the animated series, The Clone Wars. But regardless, a great looking ship, and they all look awesome together. If you're interested in seeing any of the ships I showed today, check the links in the description below. So when it comes to this expansion, this set gives you everything you need to add one V-Wing to your Republic squadron. As we saw in the video, you get a lot of cards, a lot of tokens. It's everything you need to add this to your game. Now, from the model perspective, I love this thing. It has some great line work, beautiful molding, and I have to say the detail, especially in the aft section and the forward with the recessed windows on the cockpit, exquisite. One of my favorite parts on here is probably the shield heat sinks and also those laser cannons, how they're detached from the main body and they're also apart from each other. You could actually see 2 distinct barrels there, which is great. So anyway, you know, that's basically everything I have to say about this awesome looking ship today. If you guys play Armada out there and you play with this vehicle, is it good? Is it bad? Let me know in the comments below. What are your experiences with this ship? As always, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. And if you'd like to see new videos every Thursday, subscribe. Again, from the bottom of my heart, everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch my content. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.